Hello and welcome to the Screen Chronicles. I'm Colby, and with me as always is El Stevo.
Steva.
And we are back, ready to do episode 5 of season 4 of The Last Kingdom recap, discussion, review. But first of all, how are you doing today, Steve?
I'm doing good. It's really nice out here today, Western PA, and yeah, it's really warm.
Same here in central New York.
I'm actually a little inspired from this episode. An important thing happens in this episode. We'll talk more about the episode and my thoughts on it, but one of the big things we see is tank top Finnan.
Yes, I was going to say
tank top Finnan.
Finnan is done with sleeves. He's done with sleeves. He's had it.
Yeah, and it's warm out today, so I was like, we're talking about tank top Finnan episode. I'm going tank top here today.
Love it. Love it.
I don't have the cool scars or anything like he does, but
yeah,
I figured.
Well, I don't have the arms to wear a tank top. So.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Yeah. So, what do you think of episode 5, Steve?
Well, I'll give you my ranking, and then you can tell me yours, and then okay. I think we'll start talking from there. But this was probably, honestly, one of my least favorite episodes of The Last Kingdom, probably in the series, honestly. I haven't seen the full season yet. I'm only at episode 8. But, we're talking, so today we are talking episode 5 of season 4 of The Last Kingdom. We're only giving spoilers for that and any episode before that from now on, just so you know. And with that said, back to it. Like I said, this was my least favorite. Yeah. So, I put it at a 6 out of 10 for me.
Yeah, I picked a 5.5.
I was going to go 5.
Which was a brutal... Yeah, because I was kind of torn, So I think when a 5.5, though, is your worst episode, because I also agree, I think it might have been my least favorite Last Kingdom episode. And I think it's just kind of a building episode, a lot of politicking, a lot of talking. Some big stuff does happen, but overall... it was one of the more building episodes. And we've talked before how The Last Kingdom really hasn't had too many of these, if any, that are just truly building episodes like a lot of great shows have. And I think just because you have one of these doesn't mean you're not a great show. Because obviously The Last Kingdom is our favorite show. But, take Game of Thrones. They have a lot of them. One of my favorite shows is Breaking Bad. There's a lot of building episodes that aren't as exciting as others. And we're coming out of maybe the best Last Kingdom episode there's ever been, too.
That's what I was like. Did they feel like they had to recoil after the explosive action from that one? Did they feel like they needed to, all right, now you guys can get on your phones during this one?
Well,
and I'm not trying, so... we are going to say some negative things. We're not going to beat up the show too much. We're still huge fans. So don't take it as like a lot of negativity. We're not trying to be toxic fans or anything, but we are genuine fans. And one of the reasons that I'm a genuine fan of this show, one of the reasons it's my favorite show, if you look back at our top 10 shows of 2010s, you'll see we both had this, is number 1. One of the reasons it's my favorite is because, like you said, there haven't been any throwaway build episodes before. Anything that could have been a throwaway build moment or episode, they just condensed it down, made it good, and had action and something else happen throughout the episode.
And I wouldn't necessarily call it a throwaway episode, because it is important to have, I do think. You know what I mean?
It's important to have, but I feel like it could have been, everything they had could have been shrunk down 50%, and we could have started episode 6. Like from that, like right into there.
Yeah, it just wasn't one of our favorites, but I still think it's an important episode to have, and there are good things about it. There's certainly good things for sure, and we'll break those down. But I think if it takes 3.5 seasons for The Last Kingdom to finally have maybe a subpar episode, I think that's a pretty good sign that this is one of the best shows there is.
Yeah, I would agree with that too, but it's still just kind of frustrating when you're used to a certain thing from The Last Kingdom, and you're just like, what are you doing to me, Last Kingdom? What are you doing? What? But like you said, there's a lot of great moments, a lot of cool things, a lot of cool King Edward moments from this. You get to really see his kingly fists being put down, I guess to say, and some scheming on his end. And it does seem too, like for a bit, seems like he actually is kind of coming around.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's some great Ethelfled moments. But yeah, like I said, I feel like we could have split this, shrunk it down, condensed it, and started leading into episode 6 from here, honestly.
Yeah. Again, if that's going to be, the worst episode of The Last Kingdom, I mean, that's pretty good. So that's pretty good.
That's exactly like my least favorite episode out of
still a 6 out of 10, which is
still 6 out of 10.
Yeah. So
and from Daredevil, I love the show Daredevil too. One of my other favorite shows, I think my number 2, I think so, at least from the 2010s. And my least favorite episode of that, I'd probably give like a 2 or a 3.
Right.
Honestly.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. I think we just hold the Last Kingdom to a really high standard, and that's a great thing for the show.
Yeah, but
we really hold it to a high standard. So
I'm gonna keep
100%, 100%. So let's get into it. Let's get into our spoiler talk. We hope you guys join the conversation. If you really love this episode, please tell us why we're wrong, and we will. Yeah, we'd love to talk to you about it. That's fine.
But keep it. Don't get too argumentative down in the comments, though, people, especially with each other. Keep it focused. Remember,
we're just here to have a good time and talk about the show we love.
Stick to the end, too, for our best bro moments, our favorite moment from the show. And then also let us know in the comments below about that as, too, what your favorite bro moment, your favorite moment was from the show.
Totally. Without further ado, let's jump right into episode 5. So we're at Aelisburg, and remember, Ethelred was subdued at the end of episode 4 in the battle, and a bunch of men are gathering around and they're praying. And we don't really know who these guys are yet. There were a bunch of guys kind of talking when they brought Ethelred in. Airwolf and Edith kind of look at them funny, but they go to pray, and Edith says something like, stop praying for him to die. Because obviously, Airwolf and Edith right now, it's going to be to their advantage if Ethelred dies, since Ethelred knows that Airwolf messed up pretty bad by letting Mercia go into East Anglia. Yeah, so there's our opening scene.
Yeah, Ethelred had a gnarly head wound from the battle. He got kind of his bell rung, but then he got back up, and you thought he was okay until the end of the episode when he's brought back on that stretcher. And it looks like, too, like they just can't stop the bleeding. Like they keep changing his wrap. They keep moving like pillows out. There's just blood. Blood
keeps coming out. Yeah. But he
so
hasn't woken up yet at this point. He's just still out. We don't know what's going to happen. But anyway, then they cut scene to Ethelfled's estate, and we kind of get a cool Citric parkouring over the wall.
Hell yeah.
So one thing is Citric's kind of been a little bit scarce this season, I would say. Have you noticed that?
Yeah, I mean, he normally isn't very dialogue heavy in the show, I don't think. But also, I don't feel like I've had a good standout Citric moment either, at least so far. Again, I'm only in episode 8, and we're only talking 5 today. But with Finnan, we've had some of Finnan's best outings as far as bro moments have gone. But
yeah, totally. Finnan's had such a good outing this season.
Yeah, so I'm really hoping I get something great from Citric here.
Yeah, totally. So we're about to meet a new character here. This is Ethelfled's estate, and they say, "Steora, it's me, Uhtred. I'm here." And we hear this voice like, "Who are you? Who are you really?" And young Uhtred is like, "Steora, it's really us." And we get to meet Uhtred's daughter. At least her older version. We met her before when she was really young. Ruby Hartley plays her. She does a great job. And she comes out, and you can tell right away she's got a really good relationship with her dad, Uhtred, as he kind of mentioned earlier, I think, episode 1. So we get to meet a new character here. It's
cool. She's kind of joshing him on the way in, like picking on him. She's kind of a bro, honestly.
She turns into one.
And I don't mean that in like a negative way, like she's a dude or anything. But Uhtred, we don't limit our bro selection to men. If they're pals with Uhtred and they have some good moments, they're also kind of a bro. So I mean, even though she's a daughter, she's kind of a bro.
Totally. People were hiding in there, and we actually get to meet another character who we had heard of in season 3, but we hadn't met yet. Yeah. We see Aelfwin like climbing out from a hiding spot. Now this is Ethelfled and Ethelred's daughter, but Eric's daughter. She's blonde, by the way. So
Ooh,
if you don't remember Eric. Eric was a blonde Dane. So pretty cool.
Yeah, it is
So
cool
we
to
get to meet
finally
her.
see her because we didn't see her in 3. We heard her talk about it, and we saw at the end of 2 that Ethelfled was pregnant, but this is first time we actually see her.
Yes.
And she's a little kid, and it seems like Stiora has kind of been running this house.
Yeah, taking care of the kids because Ethelstan is there too. Ethelstan was sent there for safety by Aelswith because Aelswith knew that some people were making threats. Ethelhelm and his crew certainly don't want another threat to the throne other than Ethelhelm's grandson, and it would be King Edward's second-born son.
Yeah.
But yeah, so here's something interesting. Finan, I think, says, "Who is this?" And Ethelstan says, "I am no one."
Yeah.
Faceless man. Faceless
Same.
Man. Game of Thrones.
It's probably the same guy. It's
It's probably Maisie Williams.
Maisie Williams.
Probably Arya, right? Arya Stark.
It could be Arya Stark. It could
Actually,
be the faceless god guy. We never found out who that was either. They threw that plot line away. So maybe this will be answered here in The Last Kingdom.
it's funny. He says, "I am no one," and we had already found out that Athelstan is going to be the first king of all the English in England.
Yeah, I don't know if Finan saw that though. I don't know if he saw that.
I don't know if Finan watched that episode first, so he probably didn't see it.
If he's watching them out of order, that's really going to throw things off.
Yeah. They say that they're going to ride to Cookham once the peace is secure, and Steora is talking about how she's really kind of sick of taking care of these kids.
Yeah. She's like a teenager, and she's so annoyed with just watching out for kids.
She's older than I thought she was when I saw her picture before the season came out.
Oh yeah, I thought she was younger than I thought. When I saw the picture, I was like, "Oh, she looks like she's like in her 20s." But
oh, you did? Okay, I thought she looked younger.
Here, I'm like, "Oh, she's like 13, 14, 15, maybe." I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
That's
but Eldhelm ends up showing up and tells them that Ethelred has been injured. And Ethelfled actually says, I kind of have to go see him. He's my husband. And Eldhelm says the Mercian people blame Ethelred for leaving the land unattended, letting them face the Danes alone when Ethelred went to East Anglia. So Uhtred's like, well, does this extend to Ethelfled? Is Ethelfled also being blamed for this? Eldhelm's not sure. There's reason to think so,
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Because especially too, I'm not trying to get political or anything, but it seems it's women too get probably a little bit more easily to blame back then, especially when there's a group of guys talking, you know what I mean? Unfairly so, it seems, and we see later on there's even some more challenges that things they have to deal with too to get there.
Because Ethelfled's a woman.
Yes.
Even though, so to me, it's like, but Ethelfled was the one like that inspired the men, even when Ethelred was around. So to me, I thought it would be like, no question, people were still going to follow Ethelfled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because she's got a strong character, strong personality, independent of her husband. But it's just at the times that just wasn't the case. You know what I mean? So
that shit ain't Christian,
So Uhtred says, all right, well, you guys just stay here while I go to Aelisburg with them. And Steora's not happy about it. She's like, she doesn't want to stay. But he says, well, I'll leave Finan, Citric, and Osferth here. They'll protect you guys and it'll all be good. Hang out with them, Yeah. And yeah, Uhtred doesn't really want her to go back. He kind of talks about
running away.
Yeah, and he talks like, I don't think the Eldermen are going to just want you. I think they're going to turn on you. And he wants just to go to Cookham for protection. But Ethelfled is like, yeah, I think I got to go.
Because she's all about Mercia. She's
she's a great leader. Yeah. She loves her people. She loves the land, Yeah, she's awesome.
Country before husbandry for her. You know what I mean?
Totally.
That didn't rhyme that great, but I was trying to do something.
We then get to see Ethelred waking up. And his memory is whack. So he doesn't remember the battle. He remembers arriving to the battle. He asks Ealdwulf if he'll recover. Ealdwulf tells him yes, and immediately, like, the Eldermen go, like, why are you lying to him? So that's our first indication there, like, oh, so he is actually, like, they do think he's going to die, And they are upset at Ethelred because he left them to face the Danes alone. This guy named Burgred is kind of the big one upset.
Yeah, one of the leader Eldermen. He's kind of taking charge here,
He
having
says
a
his
voice.
eldest son was beheaded,
Ooh.
and his wife was beaten by the Danes, so he's upset, and rightfully so. But Eredwulf says that he tried to convince Ethelred to stay in Mercia or return to Mercia sooner. So
Yeah,
we know this
Ethelred-
is a lie.
Ethelred asks, like, we left, Mercia unattended? Whose decision was that? And Eredwulf was like, yours?
Right.
You don't remember? It was yours.
Eredwulf was the one who got the info from Heston, naively believing Heston's word, and gave the info to Ethelred. Yes, we do think Ethelred should have checked his sources, but
Should check the source. He probably should have left like 100 guys or so back, right?
So here we learn something more about Eredwulf. He's trying to, trying to gain the trust of the Eldermen, and he seems to here, saying that, I was trying to convince him to stay. He wouldn't listen to me, So he's got his game. He's still playing his game here.
Yes. His and his sister's goal is still to, one, Eredwulf now wants to make sure he's not castrated, which anyone I think can relate to,
Yeah.
But both of them, their goal is to have their name restored, get some power. And it's really starts to seem this episode, Eredwulf is a little bit less just sort of, I want what I had, and more like ambitious, like, I want all the stuff.
More. He sees
I
an
want
opportunity.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So his idea here, I think, is to get the trust of the Eldermen, because he figures one of those Eldermen is going to become the new Ethelred, hold his position. So at this point, he's thinking, I'll gain their trust so I can kind of keep my position, this high position that I have. But things will develop, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But first, we get a Witten. We haven't had a Witten.
Yeah!
When was the last time we had a Witten? You know what I'm saying? So
it's been a while since we've had a Witten.
Yeah.
And Edward, he's sitting in on it too.
Well, before they go into, Ethelfled is like, Uhtred, you just stay out here. Ethelfled knows Uhtred's Witten history, knows that some things in Wittens have kind of gone south. So
no more Wittens for you.
No more Wittens for you, Uhtred. You stay here. Be a good boy. Then they cut to Eredwulf and asking Edith if Ethelred has forgotten Eredwulf's mistake. And they're doing some more scheming.
A lot of scheming.
Continues to try to gain favor of the Eldermen. Ethelfled comes into the room. Ethelred's there in the bed. And it's like, Edith is there. So it's kind of awkward. Because she's like, I've heard of you, Edith. You've been sleeping with my husband.
Yeah, she knows. And the thing is, too, like, this kind of frustrates me. And I'll just say this. This frustrates me because, first of all, Ethelfled banged Eric, and then she was banging Uhtred. So, like, why does she care about the one, known mistress that he had? And then she only did it once.
I think there's more known, too. I think there's more known. But I think it's more she questions her intention.
I guess, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Still, like, there's some things. We'll keep it to this episode, but I'm just like, why with this?
I think they question her intention.
A little bit
she
hypocritical.
questions her intentions there, though. More so, I don't think she cares as much because he slept with servant girls all the time.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But they're not here either. So
right.
Should we be mad at them though? If they genuinely cared, I don't know.
Yeah. Ethelfled says some things. She's just like not having it from either Eredwulf or Edith. Like she says something is like, nice of you guys to decide to finally show up to the battle. Ethelred tells everyone to leave. So it's a little Alfred kingly move here.
Yeah. And
to tell everyone to leave the room. He wants an Ethelfled moment.
You may leave us. And then Eredwulf is like, I only take orders from the king. And she's like, you think you know my husband better than me, huh? And he was like, guess I'll go then. So there's a kind of a cool Ethelred moment here. They kind of talk a while. Ethelred seems fuzzy on their history a little bit. His memory doesn't seem all there, but I think he does know that he's treated her bad. Yeah.
I don't know what he remembers, but he kind of like apologizes to her.
Yeah, it's a good moment between the two of them because she leads with, if you need anything forgiven now you can ask for it or something,
Yeah.
Because I think he asked for his condition, am I going to die? And she's like, probably, that's why I'm here.
No, I think she tells him no, though. She tells him, no, I think you'll have a full recovery.
Oh, but she does say, though, like, if you want something off your chest, you can say it. And he's like, who made you?
He's like, do you want to say sorry? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, like, who made you the priest or the
confessor?
The confessor. That's it. Who made you the confessor?
Yeah, so then she like gets mad and starts to leave, and then he's like, Ethelfled.
Yeah.
So he says her name. To me, that's kind of a powerful moment. Just that, you know what I mean? Like,
I don't know.
And he
if he's ever
sincerely
called her by
says,
her
like, yeah, I don't remember at least. But
at least not talking with her.
Yeah. But then he sincerely apologized, like, I was younger and foolish.
Yeah.
I treated you bad. And he says, I hope you can find some comfort. To love without being loved is a torture, I think was the line.
Yeah.
Which is a cool line. And it hits Ethelfled. It hits her. And they finally have a good moment together, which is weird.
First moment that's been good between them, like, ever.
Some weird things, like Aylesworth's been cool in some scenes, and like Ethelfled's and Ethelred have a nice moment. But I mean,
season 4 is getting everyone all weird.
Yeah, but Ethelred did get hit in the head pretty hard. So
yeah, there's that. And is it this moment where she brings up, don't marry off my daughter?
They do talk about it.
Is that here? She's like, yeah, so don't have my daughter married off to someone unless I approve. I don't want her to be miserable like I was. And he's like, I promise I won't. And so
he promised not to make a decision without her.
Yeah. She's
Which
like,
is
let
weird.
me find someone. Yeah.
I should have hit you on the head a long time ago, she's thinking. But
she's like, if I just knew pushing you down in a ditch
was going to make you nice.
Oh, anyway. Boy, I would have had Uhtred do that. Just Spartan kick you down in there.
Yeah.
It's a good scene between the two of them. That's one of the things that makes me not have this a 5 is how well they handle that character moment between the two of them.
Totally. Edward ends up riding up to Aylesburg, and we hear him talking about wanting to hold Ethelred accountable for letting this happen. And then he also wants to kind of act to keep the peace after winning the war. So once he gets there, he sees the townspeople are kind of working to build higher defenses. He tells his men to go help the townspeople, and Ethelhelm is like disagreeing with him, like everything he says,
Yeah. And Edward is like going around all kingly now. He's like very like hands behind the back, walking. He's got his like blue robes on, looking very proper. Nostrils aren't fully flared, but they're like a nice state of minor flareness, like
a kingly flare. A kingly flare. A kingly flare.
That's a good point. Good point.
And so, Ethelhelm is disagreeing with him. And so one thing that's important to remember, though, is Edward is king of Wessex, but remember, we're in Mercia. So it's not like he's got a ton of, he does have his men with him. He's got like a bunch of soldiers with him, but overall, like this will become important later on.
They have an alliance, but it's still seen as two separate kingdoms.
Well, Wessex kind of looks at Mercia as if they're underneath them still, like it's an alliance, like they should report to Wessex.
Mm-hmm.
But Mercia like never looks at Wessex that way, at least in the show. They never like look. They always think they're independent and their own strong nation. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
We get to hear from Burgred again here, and he says that his son is the heir, and he says it's true to his uncle. And I think I was doing some history on
Mercian politics
on Ethelred and his family, and I think Ethelred had a sister who was married to a Burgred.
Yeah.
So I think that's what they're talking about here. Could be wrong. If we're wrong, please let us know in the comments or message us. I believe that is how that kid that they show, who he says has claim, is connected to Ethelred.
This kid too. They just keep like,
he doesn't say
my
anything,
son. And he's just there like, I'm a son,
They keep showing him, and he's just like, "This is my son. He should
be king." All right, he's done. He's done in the scene now.
The other main elderman is kind of an older, seemingly more wise guy. I'm wise, not a wise guy, but he seems more wise.
They got the gray hair,
or at least more calm, a calmer demeanor. He's got like whitish gray hair. His name's Ludica.
Yeah, something like that.
And he's the other kind of main elderman we get to meet and talk to. And Aldhelm says, kind of talking to like Ethelfled up on the rafters, says something like that he believes, or that these men believe that Wessex has abandoned them, and they don't really believe in the alliance anymore. And Ethelflaed states like it's really important that we remain united. You know, it's been a huge effort of Alfred to unite the kingdoms.
Yeah.
So, you know,
that was something too. I was thinking is it's probably had attempts at alliances that have kind of risen and diminished throughout, because if Aelswith is from Mercia and she married Alfred of Wessex, you know, there was probably an attempt to form an alliance there that mustn't have stuck if
maybe
his attempt then to form an alliance was Ethelred and Ethelfled. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, totally.
So it seems like this stuff kind of just happens all the time, you know?
Totally. Then we get a scene where Edward kind of comes storming into Ethelred's room, and Ethelred they kind of show he's got like a hole in the back of his head. There's like doctors in there trying to like heal him, you know, and
I think he needs like a skin graft or something here, man.
Yeah, there's like neurosurgeons in there and, you know, what have you know, but he like sits up in bed when Edward comes in and he's like, you know, oh, has your father sent you?
Yeah.
And that's when like Edward realizes like, oh crap, this guy is not in his right mind.
Oh,
and then like, you know, Edward leaves and he like opens his eyes and he's like, is he gone? Okay, good. I was going to get in trouble there. I need to come up with something now. No, but no, it's. I think it's kind of interesting how Ethelred doesn't seem as vile, you know, now.
Yeah.
Like, and when he talks to anybody, he like doesn't seem nearly as vile as he was before. He was like always mean.
Even Edith, who he's talked to the whole time, just really as, you know, a woman to have sex with. He's now like were we in love?
Totally.
And it's different, and it's really cool too. Just seeing I think Timothy Ines, who plays Edward too. His performance in this is actually one of the standouts too, and then his like nostril flare.
We always talk about the nostril
flare. When Ethelred is like, "Did Alfred send you?" and he just nostril flare, like this guy is lost. I think that's when he kind of kicks in gear and he's like, I need to make sure things are going to run smooth here, because this is the king right now and he doesn't know his left from his right. He doesn't like what's going to happen when he dies. Like, we have no one next in line. You know, he doesn't have a son. He has a daughter.
He has a daughter. Totally. Edward walks out of the room and Ethelhelm was spying, of course, as he always does. He's always got to. And that, Edward does, like you just said, he does say, okay, I need to intervene. And he says all forces must come to Aylesburg. Now, the Mercians aren't going to like that. He talks, they kind of talk about the Eldermen, and they get some info that nobody likes Burgred. That's why, like, he's not going to be, his son's not going to become the new heir.
Well, Burgred's always like, my son here.
And then they talk about, like, the other guy, look at it, and they said, Ludica, sorry, and they say he's not strong enough, like he's wiser, but he's just not strong enough anymore.
Yeah.
And Ethelhelm suggests, why don't you betroth Aelfwine to somebody you trust? And Edward at first kind of poo-poos this idea. He's like, you know, a child is not going to bring security, the security that we need right now. And Edward, at first, he just wants to meet with this Ludica guy because he's like, he seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders compared to the Burgred guy. Let's talk to him. And we also meet kind of a new right-hand man kind of taking Steapa's place.
Yeah.
And Ethelhelm approaches him and tells him that we need to contain the Lady Elswith. And the guy's like, well, did Edward say this? He's like, listen, he can't say this. Like, this has to come from me, so just do it. You know? Ethelhelm, man, this guy makes you
Edward
mad.
Did say, like, my mother needs to rebuke for
he said that
ordering the will.
Yeah, you're right.
But he didn't say
he never gave the order.
Do something specific. He never said, and you're right. He never ordered anything.
Yeah.
He never said lock my mother up or anything like that, which is what ends up happening. Ethelhelm goes to that guy then later and tells him to confine her to quarters or something to that effect, because that's what happens.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, how has Edward let this guy, even though it is like kind of his what do you call advisor?
Yeah, like top advisor.
His father-in-law, like how has he let him being able to run the show, be able to tell his men what to do. It even seemed like he had like stay appa for a while, like would do what he asked. And it's like, you can't like let those people, you're the boss. If you're the king, you got to be the boss. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's almost like and here's another Game of Thrones reference. Who's Grandpa Lannister?
Oh, Tywin?
Tywin. It's almost like Tywin Lannister with annoying fake Lannister. Oh my gosh, I can't even remember. Who's the annoying kid?
Jamie, there's Tyrion, there's
the king,
Cersei,
the son, the king, bastard, evil kid.
Oh, Joffrey.
Joffrey. It's like Tywin and Joffrey. Here's my Game of Thrones reference here. It's, Tywin was the one running the show, and Joffrey was just the angry kid.
Right.
But I mean, it's not that extreme. Edward is definitely way smarter.
It's different than that a little bit, but
he's definitely more in control. But it's still kind of those vibes.
Okay. Yeah.
And this is kind of a Game of Thrones-ish episode too. Like we said, it's more.
Yeah, it is. There's a lot of politics in this episode.
It's all politics.
It's pretty much all politics.
I think the most action we have is like someone popping out of a.
There's a little action here. There's a little action here at the end of this episode.
There is.
Oh yeah, something pretty crazy happens here. We'll get to it. You'll remember.
All right.
Edward, Uhtred, Ethelfled, Aldhelm, Pyrlig, they're all talking. Edward says that he'll betroth Elfwin to a worthy successor so they can remain united. Ethelfled actually agrees, but says it's not that simple. You can't,
And so I think she says, make sure to run it by me first, because I don't want her to be miserable like I was.
Yeah, she does. And she also says, Edward's like, go get her now so that she can be here for all this. And Ethelfled's like, nah, switch that, reverse it. Yeah, she's like, she's safe where she is now. This is an awful place. Aelisburg can be a nasty place. Let's keep her there until we figure it out. Upsets here. Edward. Ethelfled and Edward not getting along very well, and
he does not like little sister not taking orders here. She was the one that went off into battle without listening to him. Now she is again defying him.
Yeah, totally. Meanwhile, cut to Winchester, and they're having a parade through the streets. A dead body parade of all the dead people coming back from the Battle of Tetton Hall. No, but it's kind of cool to see Aelswith's like giving condolences to like the wives of these men, and she has Edward's second-born son there, and is like showing him. And Aelfled, Edward's wife, comes out and is like, he shouldn't be seeing this. Like, he's little, and Aelswith is like, look, if he's going to be king someday, he needs to know the cost of battle.
Yeah, if he's going to order men into battle, he needs to see what happens.
So yeah, cool Aelswith moment, I thought.
It is a cool. We're getting a lot of cool Aelswith moments. This
kind of shuts Aelfled up here a little bit,
She's still kind of.
Aelswith just seems really wise this season. She seems really wise. She like told them about Tetton Hall and where it is and stuff. And
it feels organic though, because it started out with her being her typical bitter self, and then she's just been she's been having realizations about things since Alfred is gone and things are changing differently. It's felt really organic. I really like how they've handled it.
Yeah, Eliza Butterworth kills it. Really does, because I think it's hard to do that, to go from a character who is as disliked as she was to
being
someone someone to root for at the moments. You know what I mean? So it's pretty cool. And if she doesn't like abandon all the nastiness and bitterness and stuff, it's still there.
She'll still say, a jibe at Uhtred and stuff when she can get a chance.
Yeah, just when she can get those digs in, but but not as frequently as she used to.
Not as frequently.
And so it's kind of interesting. Cut back to Eardwulf is trying to get Edith to move in on Edward. Use your lady powers and let's see what we can do to Edward. And Edith doesn't agree.
I forgot about this.
Yeah. This is kind of interesting.
That must have been his plan then too from the beginning with Ethelred. Like, use your lady parts on him.
Yeah. And
it's like, I am done using lady parts on people I don't like.
Yeah. And we get to see a side of Eardwulf here, because he when she's telling him why she doesn't want to do it, he starts calling her a whore. he starts getting in her face. Meanwhile, we saw that Uhtred and Ethelfled are walking down the hall, and Uhtred's telling her, that he's heard that they're thinking of sending men to Saltwit to get Aelfwin. And
he sees this confrontation though, and he ain't having that.
When Ethelfled and Uhtred, he's not having any of that.
He just walks up. And
when Ethelfled and Uhtred walk in, I mean, Eardwolf is in her face, like in the corner. It's like, and he's like yelling at her, and they see that.
Yeah. And Uhtred confronts him, and then she walks away, and he's like, "Oh, it's just." I think she even tries to cover for him. She's like, "Oh, it's just a silly game between brother and sister or something." And then Uhtred's like, "What kind of brother would treat someone he loves like this, or something like this, or treat his sister like this?" Something like you can just see he doesn't even understand like where this sort of hate could come from for a sibling.
Yeah, and Eardwolf is just
a bro.
Like,
he's
a bro. He doesn't
bros.
get it. How can you talk to that way to your sister? Like, come on, dude. And
I love Uhtred, man.
I love Uhtred. Oh my god, I love Uhtred. So he walks away. He doesn't have a defense for it. Just leaves. He walks out.
I was really hoping Uhtred was just gonna wreck him here. Just like
I know.
Say the wrong thing, but he knows better. He knows.
Yeah.
I think everyone kind of knows now at this point not to say something to Uhtred because you'll get messed up.
At this point, though, Uhtred tries to convince Ethelfled to, like, let's just go to Chester and, like, let's just get away. You and me will live our life. She's like, as much as I would love to live with you and live the rest of my life with you, like, that would destroy everything we fought for. We've had, you've had 3 seasons. I've had 2 seasons of fighting for stuff. So,
together, that's 5 seasons put together. So
that's 5 seasons put together. Well, yeah. She makes a good point. Like, are we really going to give up everything we fought for? Because they've really accomplished a lot together, and apart. They've each accomplished a lot. So
Uhtred's a bit more of the romantic here, and I think he does expect the worst from everyone, even though he does give a crap, and rightfully so. But she's dedicated to the cause, all the way through.
Totally. Cut scene to Edward and Ludica. And I think they're out, people are building stuff. He's like walking with him and they're talking. Ludica's trying to get, in his favor so that he can become the new Mercian Lord. And they see Eardwolf, and Edward's like asking him about this guy. He's like, he seems to be liked by the soldiers and stuff. And he remembers being saved in the battle by him. And he actually calls Eardwolf over and, mentions that. And he says, what do you think should happen with Mercia? And he gives like a good answer, like, well, me and my men will be loyal to whoever's in charge. That's just the
Edward
perfect
likes
answer.
That. He's like,
Edward likes
loyal.
that.
Loyal to
Obedience.
whoever, huh?
Yes.
Loyal to me? Loyal to me?
Well, but he likes that. Yeah, he definitely likes that. And next, Burgred comes up, and he's upset that Wessex has brought so many men. Like,
like, is it an invasion?
Yeah.
Kind of his thoughts.
He goes,
take control of us.
Yeah, he's like, there are other ways of making someone king of Mercia without a Witten.
Who says that?
That's what Burgred says.
Oh, okay.
So Ludica tells Edwards, like, Burgred's the kind of guy that would do something foolish. So we kind of got to watch out for him.
He gonna act a fool, Edward.
He gonna act a fool. Y'all gonna make me act a fool up in here, up in here. Y'all gonna make me lose my cool.
Up in here,
song.
Up
in here.
It breaks out into this. It breaks out.
I know, the people building the walls start singing. It turns into a whole dance routine and number. Ethelhelm, chimes in as he always does.
Oh my God, Ethelhelm, shut up.
Shut up, dude. And he says that, this Ludica guy, he cares for peace, which is good, but he also really cares for Mercia, which could be a problem for us in the future. That's interesting. He cares that much about Mercia that he might turn up, if something is not in Wessex's favor but favors Mercia, it'd be a problem for Edward. So that kind of weighs into Edward's decision.
I think too the age too kind of influences too.
Yeah,
Ludica being older.
Age. Yeah. So he's considering kind of between Ludica and Eardwolf, Airwolf is like not even supposed to be in the running because he's not an alderman.
And he's disgraced too, his family name.
Yeah, it's been disgraced. Totally. So he's like, kind of find out what you can about Airwolf. Ethelhelm also says that, you know, you need to control your sister. She needs to do what she's told. Ooh. Still just spewing that stuff into Edward's head.
No, come on.
This guy. Anyway, then we got kind of a cool Father Pureleg Uhtred moment in an alehouse.
This, by the way, Father Pureleg is literally me this whole episode. Just like, I am done with the politics.
Yes.
Like, sitting there.
Thank you.
Just kind of like, ugh, like Father Pureleg is me this episode.
Totally. And he's talking about he's sick of politics. He feels conflicted about, you know, did I do that for my own glory, or, you know, when I went to Wales when under Edward didn't want me to. And he says that Uhtred tells him, you know, Beocca knew that you would choose wisely. And then when Uhtred gets up to leave, he takes a French fry off of Father Pureleg's plate and eats it. And I'm just like, Uhtred, come on, dude. That's not cool. It's not cool, man.
Paid like 2 pieces of silver for that. Come on.
I think is this the time where like there's like a pig there that
there's just a pig
snorts and he's like, shut up. And the pig just gets louder.
The pig, man.
It'd be funny.
There was like a fight going on too that like no one was like really worried about. Uhtred just kind of like walks past it when he's coming in. You know, he's like, oh,
that's funny. I love those little details.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So then they cut to Winchester. The new dude in Aelfled approach Aelswith, who's just trying to go on a pilgrimage. God, let her go on her pilgrimage.
She's got all the women with her.
She says, "Go to your room."
Go to your
room.
Aelswith
actually has a cool moment here. She's not having it.
Yeah, I think she orders the guards to take her, and she's like, hold that order or something, and they all just stop.
They stop? Yeah.
And I was like, ooh, what is going on?
She's like, she's like, you speak without authority. And she's like, look how she trembles. Woohoo! Aelswith, come on.
Uh-huh.
Come on.
I do not like Aelfled. I don't like the Aelfled Ethelhelm people. I don't like any of them.
The Aelfled is like, well, I am the anointed queen, so you have to listen to me. And Aelswith is like, I'm not going to argue with you right now, but have one of my men send me a Bible or so I can pray.
Bring me one of the Bibles that we have. A good. And
book. she bumps into them on their way out. You know,
she's just like,
cool Aelswith moment, man. Why is she being so awesome this season? I don't know. Then they cut to a dinner scene at Mercia, and man, they must have super long tables to not be able to hear the conversations from one end to the other, because they're all like staring at each other from across the table, talking about each other clearly.
I know, and it's just a long, awkward table. Yeah, and it's funny. It's same thing. I was like, can't they hear each other? Can't they just see each other staring at each other angrily? It is again. Like I said, this is my least favorite episode. I haven't seen the whole season of this, but this is so far my least favorite episode of the series. But like, it is a cool moment though here, seeing Edward, you know, doing his politicking and looking around. He's a lot more active as far as doing things than he was in the other episodes, as far as actually doing and planning king things. It's not my cup of tea, but it's actually, it's interesting for what it is.
Interesting. Again, that's how good of a show The Last Kingdom is. Like I said earlier, if this is going to be the worst episode they ever put out, you know, in my opinion, they're going to go down as one of the greatest shows of all time. So,
They should.
But it is what it is. So it's just a politic episode. And I think, you know, it is important to have one of those every now and then. And they've gotten away with not having to have them. But pretty much all great shows have one once in a while.
Last Kingdom normally does it, though. But they still have, like, action or something. You know,
true.
And I'm not saying, I need action to be entertained, but I'm just, you know, that sort of stuff, it builds into the action. The action builds into further politics. So when it's just one big political thing, it feels like it's not all they're doing is building other politics things, you know. So,
I think another thing too is like, especially like this scene here, dinner, like when they're having dinner and talking stuff, there's not really anybody in that room that I like. The closest thing to somebody I like in that room is Edward, and I thought I was going to like him a lot more this season, but he's just kind of been poisoned by Ethelhelm and making decisions that I don't like.
Exactly. I don't really like anyone at this table.
And so it's kind of like, oh man, I don't like anybody in the scene.
Yeah,
But I want to like Edward. I do. I don't get me wrong. I like Edward, but it's just not what I expected from him this season.
No.
And I think the actor does a great job playing him.
He does. I mean, he knocks out of the park for what he's doing, for sure.
Totally.
One thing that does happen, though, at this scene is that Edward does propose then that Erdwulf be the next king or the next Lord of Mercia.
Yeah.
And then proposing then he marries Aelfred's daughter, Elfwick? I don't know. Elfwin? That's it.
Ethelflaed's daughter?
Ethelflaed's daughter. What did I say?
You said Elfwick.
Okay. Well, yeah, that the daughter of Ethelflaed. He proposes that then. And so then everyone's just kind of like, what? You can't do that. And he's like, yes, I can. I'm a king. Kings can reverse stuff. So that's going to happen. And now Erdwulf, who's like, I just want to be like above dirt sort of level, is like, now I want to be king.
I want to be the Lord of Mercia. Oh, yeah, baby.
Oh, yeah.
Pumped. He's pumped. Yeah, Ludica doesn't like that. Not one bit. Ludica just asked Erdwulf for his loyalty, too.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I'm going to be the new Lord.
Mm-hmm.
So that's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting. Ludica even reminisces about Alfred with Edward, too. He's like, I remember feasting with your father after the Battle of Ethandun. Which is very interesting.
Cool Ethandun reference.
Cool Ethandun.
Season 1 reference there.
Yes.
And then I think they cut to Edith and Ethel Red, right? And that's where they have that little scene. It's like, did you love me? No. And eventually he asks her to, what she says, one of the good things you did was get the bones of St. Oswald.
Yeah.
And he's like, ooh, can I pray on those now? That would be so fun. And she's like, oh, for sure. Yeah, I'll go get those. So then
that'll heal me. That'll heal me instantly, probably, if I pray on them.
So then she leaves and he's all alone in there.
Yeah.
And then does it happen next? Here?
No. So we're still like, when we're at the dinner still, one of the things that convinced Ludica kind of be okay with this is Edward's like, well, if Erdwulf is promised a ton of land right now because of, what he's done. So if he became the Lord, all that land would be vacant and, I could give it, he could give it to you. So it kind of gets Ludica on board. I think he still wanted to be Lord, but he can live with it. So so while she's going to get those bones though, Erdwulf comes in.
Erdwulf comes in while she's gone and Ethelred's there.
And Erdwulf is like, Guess what? They picked me to replace you. And Ethelred's just like, nah.
I don't like that.
Nah.
And he's like, oh, I'm gonna marry your daughter too. Isn't that great? Two great things you get to hear.
But Ethelred, he says no, and like you have this look of like, oh no moment on Erdwulf's face. And then he's like, I promised my wife I would not act without her,
Yeah.
And then he's like, remember, Ethelred's memory is all messed up, but he says he does remember, like, he's like, I seem to remember you didn't serve me well.
There's a foul stench on you. Yeah. And he's like slowly getting up into his face too.
It's like, you are unworthy. Yeah. And so, in response to that, Erdwulf puts a stick in his head. What is that thing he took? Because it wasn't like a knife. It was like I
don't know what it was. It's some
like
metal
a wooden stick with like
but he uses it to like tighten the head tourniquet on him. Just
is that what it's doing? I thought he just stuck it right into his head. Oh, okay.
I think he was just tightening the wrap on his head. Is all I think. Oh. And because he has that wound that there.
I thought he stuck it in the back. I thought he stuck it in the wound.
So
either way, it was a pretty awful death. Like, oh my god.
Oh my god! And they just zoom in on his face too as he's like twisting. He's like,
oh man, it was intense. It was intense.
It was, and then you see through the shutters that Edith sees this going down. She's come back with the bones, and she's just like looking. She's, but she's
my brother, and she sees him put something in his pocket. Remember that.
He takes the ring off of Ethelred's hand.
Yeah,
we don't know what kind of ring, but we do see him take a ring off. Yes. And this is the second time now that she's seen her brother just killing someone. You know?
So her opinion of her brother's gone down. He's now yelled at her, called her a whore. It's not good. Really horrible way to die. Very intense scene. I know my girlfriend, I watched it with her. She had to look away during this scene. She doesn't handle that stuff very well.
Oh, my girlfriend looks away from the show. Like
I kind of had to tell her when it was over and stuff. But yeah, so that's what I was talking about. There's a little bit of action in this one. And
I don't know if I'd call it action. Murdering a guy that can't fight back.
An intense murder, though.
He could barely do a full setup, let alone fight off someone.
So Aelfled hears that the decision has been made to marry Aelfwin to Eardwulf.
She don't like that.
Yeah, it's like when she hears that, and I think she might say something about like how that's not good, and they cut right to like Eardwulf's face right after he murdered somebody. It's like good symbolism there. Ethelfled wants to go to Ethelred because she says he would not allow this, and she gets there and he's dead.
Ooh, yeah,
Edith's there and she's like, he won't wake up. And Ethelfled says something that I think we can all as viewers kind of relate to, because she goes, I've been waiting for this moment. I've been looking forward to this moment, and now I want to cry. Not that I wanted to cry when Ethelred died, but it wasn't the sad. I always thought Ethelred's death was going to be so satisfying.
Same. I thought Uhtred was going to kill him. He was going to die in battle. Maybe Ethelfled would kill him. But him, after he sort of realized his evil ways and was trying to make amends at the end, you know, like you kind of felt bad for him. And the fact too that he was brutally murdered, you know, by head twisting.
And just like the whole sequence of him, like after he got hit in the head and he wasn't, I don't know, it was like you got to know him in a different light, sort of. Not that I liked him ever, but like still it was like,
no, that line really
that way. Yeah. I wanted like Uhtred to come in after he hit Ethelfled or something and just kill him there.
Wreck him.
Yeah, but she said she wanted to cry.
Yeah, I didn't want to cry, but I did feel bad though. I really did.
Yeah. Anyway, Edward's mind has been made up at this point, and she goes to Ludica, who, remember, since she was the Lady of Mercia, she probably knows him very well as one of the Eldermen, and she goes to him like, how can you let this happen? And he's like, this is the most stable solution right now. So she's freaking out. Ethelhelm is the one who goes out and sends men to Saltwick to get Aelfwin. Father Purelig sees this. He goes to Uhtred, and Uhtred now has the news that men are going to get Aelfwin right now, and Ethelfled feels like she's been cast aside. Aldhelm is there. Ethelfled, I think, says something about, well, what if I raise the Fjords? He's like, no, that would cause a civil war. That would not be good. Ethelfled tells Uhtred, can you go to get Aelfwin, take her to Chester and protect her? So then Uhtred goes off, and Edward then tells Eardwulf to confine Ethelfled. What the heck? Edward, come on, dude.
Edward, come on.
Yeah.
So she gets locked up.
There's a lot of stuff going on in this episode. Yeah, it's just crazy. Like, oh man, he's turned on Ethelfled. You really got to lock her up right now. He says something until the matter's like been concluded or something. We need to lock her up. Ugh.
Self-isolation, you know?
Oh, we'll get to that next episode. Cut back to Winchester. Aelswith is given the Bible or the prayer book, whatever, by the guard, and she pays him to do something. So we see someone's pretty loyal to her still, and we don't know what this thing is yet.
Thanks for the loyalty.
Yeah.
And he's like,
me?
Anytime I see her interact with a guard, I always just think about season 3 when she yelled at that guy and that one guard, and he's just like, she's like, leave us. Just looking around everywhere like, ooh, me?
Totally. Cut back to Saltwick, where Finnan and Citric are playing the cup game where you like shuffle the cups, guess which one's in it. Citric's really bad at this game.
He's not good.
Finnan's like hiding
tank
in his
top
teeth.
Finnan going on here.
Cool little bro moment here, just hanging out playing games.
The only bro moment. So by default, this is my best bro moment.
Totally.
It is a fun little moment though between them.
Totally. There's this fun moment. Finnan's still sleeveless, or is this where he becomes sleeveless? I think
he's already sleeveless. They're sitting around in like their like lounge clothes right now.
Yeah, they're just lounging.
Yeah. Looks like a nice day outside.
Yeah, Steora and young Uhtred have a moment where they talk about, she's like, what was Bavember like? They talk about when they were children and stuff. And then they see that men are coming. And Citric and Finan get up ready to fight. And Steora's like, nah, I got a plan. It's pretty cool. Yeah, so Steora has this plan, and we get to find out that she takes after Uhtred, who, because you want to know why?
Planning.
She's a great actress.
Ooh, yes.
Yes, she is. She, they like ride up, and she's like, oh, who are you guys? And she's like, I think someone named Uhtred took her. She came for her.
Yeah.
So she's gone now. As if she doesn't know who Uhtred is. And they're like, let us in. Let us look around. Yeah.
They do a pretty mediocre search. They even open the thing that Osferth is hiding in. And like, because I was like, oh, no one's in there because there's somewhere even better. But then Osferth pops out of it after they leave. I'm just like, so he was in there. Like, they could have found him. Like.
I know. The kids were just end up hiding behind some bush outside.
Yeah, they're just in the grass.
Yeah.
Just like laying down in the grass.
But the plan worked.
Worked though.
Plan worked.
Them, mercy.
Citric had a pretty cool hiding spot. He was like pinned up against it. And like as soon as the guy came and looked, he like dropped to the ground with a knife in his mouth. Finan was like in the walls looking. It was cool. Anyway, they leave. Nobody's there. They can't find anybody. They leave. Uhtred like arrives just as they're leaving, gets in there, is like, did they take her? He's so happy to see Steora. And she's like, it worked. My plan worked. Citric drops down from like the ceiling like Batman.
Batman's Uhtred.
A cool little Citric moment here.
Cool little Citric moment, yeah. I think they just make out then to ride out.
They do. And Edith ends the episode by going to rescue Ethelfled from the room she was put in by Erdwulf. Yeah. And she has Eldhelm is outside the window because Ethelfled's like, why should I trust you? You were with like Ethelred and stuff, so why should I trust you? And she like just explains like, look, both of our brothers have kind of betrayed us, so why don't we just team up here and let me help you here? She's like, Mercia wronged us both. Our brothers have turned on us.
Yeah.
And that's how the episode ends. Ethelfled escaping with Eldhelm, who is always loyal to Ethelfled. He loves her.
Mm-hmm.
And we end the episode. So all in all, it's kind of one of the more slow episodes overall, but a lot of important stuff still happens. There's still some cool moments. And so I think we already established our favorite bro moment.
Yeah, my favorite bro moment was just that the game they were playing, seeing Citric and Finan, Osferth all just in their lounge clothes, chilling out in the house.
Totally.
They're like, oh yeah, this is cool. We get some downtime,
Totally. Yeah, that's mine too. What's your favorite moment or thing that happened?
I guess my favorite moment probably would have been the moment between Ethelfled and Ethelred, the sort of forgiveness and, you're right. I'll do what you want sort of thing. Even though it doesn't pan out.
Yeah, I like that moment.
Because it's just crazy how much you can hate this guy and then you feel bad for him in the way that he dies. Because like she said, I've been waiting for him to die since like the first time I saw him abuse Ethelfled. Like I was like, all right, this guy needs to die now, tomorrow, next episode, please.
No.
And now like 2 seasons later, he's been killed. And it's you're just like, oh, I didn't like that. That didn't make me feel good.
I know. Oh, good point. Very, very good point.
And now like Erdwulf is like the new Ethelred to hate. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I also like there's kind of a cool moment where like Finan like puts his arm around Steora after her plan worked and like,
oh yeah,
pretty much like, oh, you did a great job and stuff. So that's kind of a cool little moment. Yeah. It's quick. There's a lot of those quick bro moments that are happening. You kind of have to look in the background a little bit more. Than where I think other seasons they might have focused on it a little bit more. Mm-hmm. It seems like they're kind of more in the background. And when I watched it through a second time, I kind of was able to notice those more than I did the first time. But yeah, my favorite moment though is probably them hiding and then Citric jumping down like Batman. It's kind of
Batmaning Uhtred.
So there you go, episode 5. Again, is it one of the slower Last Kingdom episodes? It is, but it doesn't mean it's a totally bad episode.
It's still a 6.
It's still got stuff going on. And it's kind of unfair because it's coming after like the greatest Last Kingdom episode ever, in our opinion.
I still don't think we should drop down from a 10 to a 6. I think we should have went to at least a 7, 7.5. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's give them a break though.
That's fine. That's fine.
They do a great job overall.
They do a great job. They do a great job.
Yeah. So anything else, Steve, from this episode?
No, I mean that's pretty much it. I mean, there was some interesting things that happened. They set up the next episode is pretty interesting. I'm excited to talk about that one.
Yeah, we'll get into that shortly. We hope you guys are enjoying these talks. Let us know what you think. Let us know like what you liked about this episode, and if there was stuff you didn't like either, let us know that too. What were your favorite bro moments? Were there some we missed? What were your favorite moments? We just want to hear from other fans and have a discussion, really. So follow us on Instagram or Facebook. Subscribe to us on YouTube.
Follow us
and you can download our podcast on all podcast apps. Stay with the Screen Chronicles,
everybody. And check out, too, we have older episodes, too, on Star Wars, Joker, all sorts of fun stuff. But
yeah, if you like those, too, we like to talk about
stuff
that.
from The Last Kingdom here, too. I'm glad we finally got into it here this past month. And it's been a lot of fun. So check those out. We got interviews with some of the cast members, some other recaps. So check those out.
Mm-hmm. And we got some exciting stuff coming up. So we hope you stay with us. And we will talk to you soon. But for now,
Destiny's on.
Destiny's on.